than the weather, but we're running a close second. Stay informed with Weather Center all day today and every day.
In the next half hour, Weather Center, a comprehensive national forecast. At 40 after, Weather Center continues with highway and air travel conditions. Then the weekend outlook. And at 50 after, Storm Watch. But right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Showers and thunder showers have blossomed in areas from New York to Florida, and it's causing severe weather in some locations. Good evening and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Janetta Jones.
I'm Rich Johnson. A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for extreme eastern North Carolina. For more on the situation, let's turn now to Bill Keneally in our forecast center.
Thanks a lot, Rich and Janetta, and hopefully things will start winding down there in eastern North Carolina, as you mentioned. It looks as though as our sun is now set, things are beginning to wind down on the radar in that area, but maybe not so farther up towards Baltimore and Philadelphia. We'll show you that radar momentarily. First up, though, there's been a couple of possible tornadoes touching down today in eastern North Carolina. Let's take you there now. This is in Wayne County, North Carolina, around the Goldsboro area. This would be southeast of Raleigh, incidentally. And this area was hit twice today, first with 1-inch hail, second time with more hail, and a possibility of a tornado. As you can see, a fair amount of damage reported in here, and we haven't had a confirmation on that as of yet, but those cells on the Doppler radar did look as if they did pack some circulation to them. Let's show you where the severe thunderstorm watch is currently in effect, and that would be still in eastern North Carolina and roughly from the Virginia border all the way down to about the city of Wilmington, and that goes to about 9 o'clock this evening. Severe threat high on I-95 and especially, I'd say, Route 17, the route that takes you a little closer to the water. So we'll be watching this area. I think we can safely sound that all clear now in the Greensboro Triad vicinity as our front is on the move, but still anywhere, I'd say, roughly east of about this line, be on your guard. That does include the Raleigh and Durham metropolitan area. So the front is on the move. It's coming down pretty quickly off of the high Piedmont now, but still ahead of it, juicy air, southwest flow running up ahead of it, and with that we are seeing some pretty good sized storms. But as you can see, they are tending to die down. Some there where I-16 and 95 hook up around Savannah. A couple more there to the west of Myrtle Beach. They definitely are dying down. And likewise, the ones here in eastern North Carolina not packing near the punch. But we'll be watching that area, I'd say roughly around Washington to about Manteo. Be on the guard in this general neck of the woods. Closing in on the region, you can see there's still a decent little cell here northeast of New Bern. Could still be some hail producers. And incidentally, the reports of the possible tornadoes were back in this area around the city of Goldsboro. And incidentally, it looks as though there were some confirmed tornado touchdowns in the city of Suffolk in Virginia. That would be to the west of the city of Norfolk, Virginia. Satellite picture shows a big wheel spinning. That's the low pressure area. Frontal zone is on the move. It's still hanging back a bit around Washington, D.C. And we talked about that southwest wind running up ahead of it. The higher, taller cloud tops are in the orange, and they are correlating with the action on the front, the heavier areas of rainfall and the attendant thunderstorms. All day today we've had some very cool air draining in from Boston, where, by the way, it is a mere 39 degrees right now in Boston. And by the way, New York City has cooled down considerably too, so hopefully the New York City area will not see too much in the way of severe weather. The actual air temperature and the dew point actually now 39 in Boston. What a cry from yesterday when it was 89 degrees. But still some juicy air running up just ahead of that system. Southeastern Pennsylvania, Maryland, Northern Virginia, watch out. This is in correlation with that upper level low pressure area, but the frontal boundary itself is right about in here, and that's our concern. To the northwest of Richmond there, up on I-64, and also to the north and west of the Washington, D.C. area. I'm pretty impressed by these storms. They're holding together pretty well in the cold air there around Providence and east of Hartford on I-84. New York City area, still some real heavy rainfall here in southern Bergen and Hudson County. So Jersey City all the way to about the Fort Lee area on the Palisades, some nasty rainfall. Likewise, from Trenton to about the we'll say at the Millstone area in central Jersey, and more big storms here northwest of Philadelphia. And we'll be watching these around the Valley Forge area. Flood warnings up in Chester and Montgomery County until 9:20. Likewise, watching some of these cells here east of Hagerstown around the city of Frederick to the northwest of the Baltimore area on I-270. But again, hopefully they will die down as we lose our heating in the daytime. Check us out on the webpage at weather.com for more on what's going on here in the western states. Let's turn it back to Janetta.
Southern California and the Southwest are being plagued by scattered showers and thunder showers and mountain snow. Meanwhile, chilly winds, rain, and snow are affecting parts of the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. And here's a look at our satellite vantage point. The snow is pretty much tapering off, but we still have the rain showers stretching through parts of the Great Lakes. So Chicago, yeah, you've been seeing some cold rain falling throughout the day. We've seen some scattered showers move through Detroit and on into northern sections of lower Michigan. So I-75 going to be a bit sloppy as you're heading home from work this afternoon. And places like Minnesota starting to clear out now. A little bit of light snow lingering, some gusty winds earlier in the day. Those seem to be subsiding, and that's good news. In the southwestern portion of the state, we've seen quite a bit of snow. In fact, some locations picked up as much as 8 to 9 inches of snow, and this is the same location that picked up tornadoes just a few days ago. Now, this is the scene in St. Peter, Minnesota. Yeah, some of the damage left from the tornadoes, and you're getting snow on top of it. Some of the area schools had to close today due to the snowy weather, as you can see, causing some problems.
Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and Virginia, these storms are getting quite intense right now. More on that to come in travel-wise. Here's Bob.
Be careful along the Mid-Atlantic region, and tomorrow morning be careful along I-95 in the northeast. Rain in New York, 51 degrees in the morning. Your commute in Boston is going to be a wet.
Just say, wow. Drama, passion, suspense, tropospheric undulations. Every night on Weather Center PM.
In the next half hour, Weather Center PM, a comprehensive national forecast. At 40 after, Weather Center PM continues with highway and air travel conditions. Then the weekend outlook. And at 50 after, Storm Watch. But right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
powerful day for storms along the eastern seaboard, stretching from the Carolinas to the big cities of the Northeast. It's not over yet either. Hello, I'm Bob Stokes, and welcome to this edition of Weather Center.
A big change since yesterday when many of you saw record high temperatures for the month of March throughout a lot of the east. Cooler air has moved through with a vengeance and rough weather erupting in many areas. Bill Keneally has more in the forecast center.
Thanks a lot, Mike and Bob. Good news, bad news. The good news is the action is winding down very quickly in North Carolina. The bad news is action is seemingly heated up in the Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York corridor. Looks like there's some jet stream energy riding overhead, lifting very, very juicy air. With that said, there is a tornado watch in effect now, including Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington. This will go until the midnight hour. New York City area, we've been blessed, if you will, by some very cool air. There's been a backdoor front that's come by, so this area is a little more stable, but this is where it's really heated up. This is our proverbial warm sector, and that is where there's quite a bit of action showing up. First up, though, around New York City, while there's not any severe weather per se, there's some very heavy rainfall in the North Shore area, roughly, around, say, Dix Hills and Lake Ronkonkoma on the island, and also crossing the Long Island Sound, heading up towards the New Haven, Bridgeport area of Connecticut. And how about this little cell right in here? It's crossing now north of Staten Island, looks like. It's getting into western Brooklyn, lower Manhattan right around the Battery, and likewise around the, looks like the Statue of Liberty area, so down towards Jersey City, New Jersey. More heavy rainfall warranting a flood warning now, a flash flood warning for extreme eastern areas of Somerset County in New Jersey. That goes till 9:20 tonight. Let's see what's happening. Now, we talked about the problem with the heavy rainfall. There's also, in this very juicy air mass, southerly flow coming up, and then we have this jet stream just riding overhead, and it's raging, and it's lifting a lot of this air that's been very soupy all day long today. And now we've had some, it looks like a little second batch, or a second wind, if you will, of storms popping up around the greater Washington area. Now there's your low, obviously, back here, but there's a front cutting down through the downtown of Washington now. It's east of Charlotte, North Carolina. Things have settled down nicely in North Carolina, as you can see, but the color-enhanced satellite imagery indicative of where the higher, taller tops are and correlating with the areas of heavier rainfall. And one batch is right there in Metro Washington, where the dew points are running at 65 degrees. And in fact, even in New York, the dew point has come up quite a bit now, running at 53. So I think there's going to be some heavy rain, some rumbles of thunder in New York, but I'd say the worst of it, as far as severe weather goes, will be south of about that line. So again, we talked about New York City, some heavy rain on the island, more heavy rain coming right up the Route 1 corridor now, getting into the Edison area, and then around Baltimore and Washington. Check out these storms. Now the good news is right now there are no warnings in effect that I know of, but north of Baltimore, I'd watch out there in the Baltimore County area between, we'll say Reisterstown and I-83. Likewise, some more storms here near Frederick, Maryland, and in addition, some big storms not too far from Dulles Airport out here in Loudoun County. This was the tornadic cell now getting east of I-95, but I would watch out the area between about Bowling Green and Tappahannock in Virginia. Possibilities of hail and high wind seems to be quite likely here. Another vantage point, the Doppler radar, still some heavy rainfall in North Carolina, not too far from the Oregon Inlet there, a little bit south of Nags Head. But again, that tornadic cell, it looks like it did have a little hook there showing up over Virginia, but it looks like that cell is starting to wind down a little bit. Elsewhere in the southeast, we have had problems earlier today. Possible tornado touching down in Wayne County in eastern North Carolina. Check out the aftermath of this. As you can see, we've had some damage reported. Other areas, including portions of Duplin County and Craven County, and likewise in Lenoir County, also seemingly have been hit by some strong straight-line winds and/or tornadic thunderstorms. We'll have a confirmation on that by tomorrow. Thankfully, though, no injuries reported thus far. Well, check us out on the web at weather.com if you're away from the set. A lot going on in the Midwest and the Far West, and for all that, here's Mike Bono.
Okay, Bill, yes, we have low pressure spinning in the upper Midwest, and still another one with snow in some places spinning in the Southwest. On our national map, we'll see where the perpetrators are located. We have low pressure. Actually, the ringleader of this whole East Coast problem is located over the Great Lakes. Low pressure spinning in that area, and the reason it's the ringleader is because a trough kind of branches out from it, and the winds are coming around it and mixing with all that tropical air back here. thunderstorms severe, but you had snow overnight that tallied up to almost a foot in parts of Minnesota and the eastern Dakotas, and now it's still snowing in some places. We could see the snow. It's turned to snow again in Duluth after turning to rain during the day. Now the sun gets a little lower in the sky, goes back to snow. Ely, Minnesota, International Falls. One more week and you'll have it snowing at 7:30 or 8 at night, and it'll still be daylight in some of these places. Kind of weird to have days that long and the snow's still coming down, but it could happen in Minnesota. A little bit of snow over Duluth, but the temperatures are still safely above freezing. Chicagoland, on the other hand, getting a little bit of rain. We'll get to that in a minute, but a dense area of rain from Traverse City, Alpena. Watch out driving along I-75 and back into Marquette, and it'll probably mix with snow around Rhinelander, although we don't expect big travel woes. But the rain is coming down with wind from the west.
Wow. Drama, passion, suspense, tropospheric undulations. Every night on Weather Center PM.
In the next half hour, Weather Center PM, a comprehensive national forecast. At 40 after, Weather Center PM continues with highway and air travel conditions. Then the weekend outlook. And at 50 after is Storm Watch. But right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel. On Weather Center, strong thunderstorms batter the eastern seaboard. What a difference in the Northeast. Yesterday, record highs. Today, a cool change. And winter returns to Southern California. Details right now on Weather Center.
It has been a day of powerful storms along the eastern seaboard, stretching from the Carolinas to the big cities in the Northeast. Hello, I'm Mike Seidel, and welcome to this edition of Weather Center. It's a big change since yesterday when many of you saw record high temperatures. Today, the cooler air moved in and rough weather erupted in many areas. Dave Schwartz is in the forecast center with an update. Dave?
I'll tell you, Mike, you can almost predict it whenever it gets as warm as it has the last couple of days along the East Coast. This early in the season, you can usually tell that thunderstorms are on the way, and of course, we are now getting into severe season. Thus far today, tornadoes reported in North Carolina, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. And according to the Storm Prediction Center, we are not done yet. A tornado watch is in effect until midnight for areas from Trenton, New Jersey to Harrisburg to Philadelphia, Wilmington, Dover, Baltimore, and Washington, and down toward Richmond, Virginia. Meanwhile, New York City and Boston are not considered under a risk for tornadoes. Cold high pressure has ridged down and some very cool air has moved in. And as you well know, it's the warm air from the south and those southerly winds that feed thunderstorm structures. Look at Boston at 40, New York City at 50, but when we hit Philly and Washington, we're into the 70s, and those are the areas where we're seeing some severe thunderstorms tonight. This Doppler radar is what we're looking at now. In New York City, the rainfall has been very heavy, 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rain, a training effect as these storms just continue to move over the same general area. Flooding's been reported on Route 22 here in Plainfield, New Jersey, which is impassable. And in Chester County, there's been some very heavy rain. But here's where we get into that warm air. From here, south and westward, that's where the tornado watch is in effect. And there's some very strong cells. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for this cell in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, and another one further south into Virginia. We'll have a look at that. Watch out here in Cecil County, Maryland. There's no warning for this storm, but this looks like a doozy as it moves toward the border of Pennsylvania and Maryland. Another strong storm moving across the northern suburbs of Baltimore right now. Large hail and damaging winds, likely with this one. And as we head further southwest into the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, look out, very heavy rain in Reston, Virginia, and that'll be moving across the district right on into Bethesda and then Hyattsville, Silver Spring, and College Park during the next half hour. This cell has been severe for hours. There have been reports of wind damage over miles and miles. We're pretty sure that this storm has put down a tornado. As it moves out toward the Chesapeake Bay, by the way, if you're watching from Salisbury, it should weaken as it encounters some cooler air sitting over the Chesapeake Bay. So we've got some very, very active weather. Now, earlier today, there was severe weather that hit the east coast. In Chester County, Pennsylvania, a tornado. Down toward southeastern Virginia and North Carolina, more tornadoes and ugly-looking skies here, too. This is the way it looked out over the water here in Norfolk, Virginia. Heavy thunderstorms rolled through, packing a lot of lightning. You also had a report of a waterspout near Norfolk and in Suffolk, Virginia, and back into North Carolina. Tornadoes reported in Lenoir County and Craven County. We've cleared out right now. That's great news. But further north, that's where the problem is. If a tornado warning is issued for your area, a couple of quick tips. Seek shelter in the lowest level of the building in which you find yourself. Stay away from exterior walls and windows. They'd be the first to go. And cover your head to protect against any flying debris if you hear that awful roar. We'll keep you posted on the latest on this severe weather outbreak on the mid-Atlantic coast, which will continue for the next several hours. If you need us when you're not around a television, weather.com, that's our online address. Now here's Mike Seidel with a look at the weather west of the country's weather.
Okay, Dave. Those of you out there have also had a stormy day across parts of the west with some heavy rain in the deserts and snow in the high country. Not so high, though. This was no April Fool's joke here in San Bernardino, California. You awoke this morning to find several inches of snow on the ground. A cold front that moved through the area last night dropped snow levels to 2,000 feet. Well, you didn't hear any complaints from the kids there in Running Springs, California. The kids going down on the sleds. Let's talk about the storm in the west, then we'll update you on the temperatures and the good stuff in the middle of the country and southeast. Here it is, the big spinning low, the center of it now moving across the Channel Islands. Once this moves east into Arizona, the instability will be lessened. That means it will be a more stable atmosphere, and the risk of showers and even water spouts like we saw yesterday around Huntington Beach will diminish. But still this evening, a few showers on radar, not so much up in the Sacramento Valley or the Bay Area. You'll stay dry tonight. But look at the rain now around Los Angeles, out through the desert areas. Most of this feeding on the energy of the day, the heating of the day, what little there was, obviously, with temperatures today getting barely above 50 in L.A. By the way, 1.14 inches of rain officially at the Civic Center, so a pretty good dousing of rain and more in store before the weekend. So the system will move east. Most of the rainfall now is the showery variety, but you can see some rain there coming right into Los Angeles, out around Malibu, and moving right down towards LAX, the airport, Los Angeles International, Orange County, out towards Riverside and San Bernardino counties, and the mountainous areas here got